Alpha Force Zero, do you know Lawrence Krauss?
I don't think
This
like
fine-looking
vaguely.
gentleman right here?
I recognize the
The buck
fa-
teeth?
yes. Well, I have that too, so
Okay, we're gonna ignore that. Do you recognize this fine gentleman right here on the left?
not like vaguely.
Okay, Alpha Force Zero is a little bit young. These two people are juggernauts in the atheist community. This is Richard Dawkins on the left. Do you know the name?
Yeah, I know the name.
And on the right is Lawrence Krauss, and they are the symbol of atheism. Well, it turns out they're complete scumbags. I'm sorry to say. Give this a listen.
Yeah, when
Yes.
you say sex assigned at birth is
Yes.
arbitrary, it suggests that in fact sex is assigned and it's not real.
Oh boy, he's going down an anti-trans rabbit hole. He's given us some kind of gotcha that doesn't even make any sense. Okay, so nobody that I personally know says that sex isn't real. I've never heard literally a single human being ever say that sex is not real, that it's not a real characteristic of human beings. And that's what he's arguing here.
Not real.
That people say that.
And so it's the cultural aspect that's pushing people to make this confusion between gender and
I think
sex.
it would be like saying to an anorexic person who's skeletally thin, "It's okay. You're not thin. You're not. It's kind of like that. It's pushing them in.
It's not even kind of the same thing at all. I like one of those well, first of all, one of those things is a mental illness and a physical characteristic. We're not talking about someone's sex. That's different from anything anyone has ever said.
Right. He literally just said that people are creating this gender and sex confusion. No. We're
He's
distinguishing
creating
between them. You are creating that confusion like nobody else. Gender and sex are separate. They're different, and they have been for a very long time. You can like Google the definition and see that gender is generally considered the mental and social expression, and sex is the physical characteristic. Everybody understands that. It's like these two guys being in the boomer mindset. Not that being a boomer is bad. It's absolutely not. But the mindset is backward. Like, I don't know how else to interpret this. It's like these two boomer mindset people are stuck in this like world that doesn't like that they refuse to break out of. And it's so incredibly sad to me that I used to view these guys as like intellectually interesting. Like the ideas that they presented were interesting. I'm going back now and listening again, and I appreciate Richard Dawkins's like scientific insights because he's a biologist, and the things that he's written about, like the selfish gene. You know, this guy invented the word meme. Did you know that?
no.
He's the inventor of the word meme. Yeah. He's added a lot to science, but his philosophical takes are like confusing and nonsensical. So anyway, anorexia is an actual condition, like a real illness that needs to be treated. Being trans is not. It's just not. And there are no ill effects to being trans that are not created by society anyway.
into it.
Yeah, well, and just so both you and I can get into more troubles, there's this thing of where fat shaming, where people who are extremely obese don't. There are health problems with being extremely obese, like it or not. But the current fat is.
Does anybody not like that? What are you talking about? Do you know what he's talking about? He's talking about the health at every size movement. And I've got a little news for you. I actually researched this heavily because I wrote this paper called The Extremism Gradient. And I basically integrated it into my website that I wrote recently, cultcompass.org, if you want to check it out. It's where you can like play a cult guessing game. It guesses which cult you're talking about. You can take an assessment to see if you're in a cult. And you can look at other groups, historical groups, like ratings for why they are considered a cult and everything. It's really interesting. But anyway, in my research for the extremism gradient, I found out that the health at every size movement is fake. It was created by Kellogg and General Mills. I'm 100% serious. Bot farms created by General Mills to spread the idea that it's okay to be overweight, and that being overweight is just as valid as being underweight or just any weight, and that it's just as healthy and there's no health like downside to it or anything. It was all astroturfed lies by General Mills, for real. So this nonsense he's laying down for us about how people think that it's healthy to be fat, you live in a delusion, Lawrence. Get your head out of your ass. Come back to reality with the rest of us. Okay, nobody thinks that.
Problems with being extremely obese, like it or not. But the current fad is to not suggest there's a problem there. I mean,
No, the current fad is to not be a head. The current fad is to let people live their lives and do their thing and worry about their stuff. And if they go to a doctor, expect the doctor to give them the bad news that this is unhealthy. Everybody understands that. But you don't have to go around harassing people and treating them like trash because you don't like the way that they look. I could sit here and talk about your stupid buck teeth all day. Is that the same as you fat shaming? Can you not complain about me talking about your stupid buck teeth and your ugly glasses because that's PC? Am I, you're going to complain about me doing that? Sounds a little PC of you.
to be proud of being that, and
Yes.
and you know, and
Look at this dude's stupid fucking eyebrows. Look at these. What's wrong with these eyebrows? Seriously. Does he ever trim these things? How do you like being made fun of? Is it like, it's none of your business, and it's none of my business.
I understand it because you don't want to, the difference is you don't want to discriminate against people who are obese, but you don't have to say that it's healthy.
Nobody says that. Nobody says that. Nobody.
Yes, quite.
And I'm sure I'll get hate mail for that one. But anyway,
Yeah. I just like I'm kind of inching further and further toward hating the guy because he lives in this fantasy land where he's a perpetual victim. This Jeffrey Epstein acolyte who went to Jeffrey Epstein's island and hung out with him. And when all that stuff started coming out about Jeffrey Epstein, defended him publicly. Dawkins Krauss did, yes. Yeah, that guy. That's why I'm starting to hate the guy, honestly.
Starting?
Yeah, okay. Well, it started 2 years ago, and it's just slowly progressing. I don't know if there's a bottom or what, but
I've skipped past starting. We're at the end phase now.
generally, I
just
try
haven't-
not to hate anybody. And
I love doing that. That's my favorite activity.
I try not to hate anybody, but because everybody can change, everybody can better themselves, and I want to give everybody the grace of assuming that they can improve on their condition or whatever other thing. But he is a scumbag, like a really terrible person, honestly.
I hate people until the moment they do change, because until that point, I have to make the assumption that they're just not changing because they don't want to. Because usually, people like that don't get by without someone saying, hey, you're kind of a really terrible person.
Yeah, and those stupid buck teeth aren't helping his case either. So.
Someone said, finish the hate, Owen.
Okay. Anyway, there's more to this. Prominent atheists are weaponizing the war on science to push right-wing grievances. Yeah, these two guys, these two suckers, are now right-wing propaganda machines, I'm sorry to say. This is from March 3rd, 2025, actually, so it's a little bit older, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of what kind of people these guys are now. I believe Richard Dawkins had his American Humanist Association award retracted after he started complaining a bunch about Imane Khalif in the Olympics, who right-wing nutcases claimed was trans, but was not. She was not trans, has never been trans. Yeah, so I don't know that was the thing that got it retracted, but it's that type of thing. Oh yeah, he's gotten into it. Richard Dawkins has. He's gotten into it with the Pope a couple of times. Pope Benedict. Benedict started making a bunch of false claims about Hitler, that Hitler was an atheist and all of that, incorrectly. I wrote a book about it, Was Hitler an Atheist? Check it out on Amazon and Audible. And Richard Dawkins basically said, this coming from somebody who was in the Hitler Youth. Oh my God, yes, the Pope was in the Hitler Youth, for real. Not this Pope, it was Benedict, the one before Francis. Anyway, point is that Richard Dawkins has had some really good zingers, and then he's had some really bad face plants. But check this article out. More than 36 very serious quote-unquote scientists and scholars, including several well-known atheists, have contributed essays to a forthcoming book about the war on science that will be released by a right-wing publisher. Those contributors include Richard Dawkins, Jerry Coyne, Peter Boghossian, Steven Pinker, and Dawkins Krauss. Those people are all scumbags, and I'm familiar with all of them. I don't think I've spoken to Richard Dawkins, but I am connected to him. I am connected to Peter Boghossian, but not the others. Before I go any further, just ask yourself 2 questions. 1, if you're going to publish a book about the war on science in 2025, what would you cover? And 2, if you were going to publish a book about anything, what would you want? Would you want to work with a publisher that promotes conservative ideologues? So here's the answer to number 1. Maybe how the Trump administration has fired thousands of employees at our nation's finest science agencies. Maybe talk about that. Or how Republicans are decimating funding for research in areas that the private sector will never fund because it's not obviously profitable for them. Or how Trump is destroying the NIH. Or how Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. Or left the World Health Organization. Or promoted anti-vaxxers to positions of prominence while the measles outbreak is currently underway and bird flu remains a very real threat. Again, this is from March. That list could go on for a while because the current Republican Party is arguably the biggest threat to scientific progress our nation has ever seen. And here's number 2. Again, if you were going to publish a book about anything, would you want to work with a publisher that promotes conservative ideologues? In 2021, after being part of the police raid that shot and killed an unarmed Breonna Taylor in her Louisville apartment, police officer Jonathan Mattingly announced that he was going to publish his own version of events in The Fight for Truth, the inside story behind the Breonna Taylor tragedy. There was so much backlash to the idea of a killer cop profiting off of the murder of a black woman that Simon & Schuster refused to distribute the book, even though it was being published by one of its imprints. So Post Hill Press, I guess, is the organization that printed it. The same publisher has put a book by conspiracy theorist Dan Bongino, oh my God, and is, or at least was, led by someone who used to run Humanix Books, a subsidiary of right-wing outlet Newsmax. Oh my God. Or Humanix Books, I guess. Wow. That's the publisher that Krauss, Dawkins, and all the rest are now working with to release their book. It shouldn't be surprising, given that these people become better known for their reflexively reactionary, anti-trans, anti-woke views than for any of their contributions to science. It's true. So Krauss released this book, The War on Science. And here, this is a table of contents. It's clear they're not interested in actual war being waged on science. Yep. So here's the table of contents. Section 1, free speech, victimhood, and ideology. Okay, I'm not sure what that has to do with science. Ideological corruption of academic disciplines. So they're saying that wokeism is taken over or something? Cancel culture? Oh, please. The impact of diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucracies on scholarship in academia and beyond. Give it a rest. Dude, these people are disgusting, honestly. You know, maybe hate is starting to it's approaching. That might be the word. That might be the right word for it. What can be done? Gender, race, ideology, science, and scholarship. And epilogue. I should give this a read and review it.
Yeah.
It's a litany of right-wing grievances that are better suited for Joe Rogan's podcast than anything else. This is a quote, from assaults on merit-based hiring to the policing of language and replacing well-established disciplinary scholarship by ideological mantras, current science and scholarship is under threat throughout the Western institutions. Look, the thing is, if any of the things they're complaining about were real, to any degree at all, I would hear them out. But it's not. None of it's real. I mean, we heard it a minute ago in that clip. Him complaining about fat shaming and stuff. Literally nobody that's real honestly believes that it's healthy to be overweight. That's the claim. That's what he was complaining about. Nobody, not one human being. It was a General Mills bot farm. None of the things they complain about are real. It's all based in propaganda. It's absolutely wild to me that these people who pride themselves on being critical thinkers are so backwards. Like, how did this happen? Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Absolutely wild.